question is it worth it? So the next big theme along operations, I'll break this into another chunk, is technical versus management, all right? And so this is very common in tech companies, right? You have an engineer who's exceptionally talented and you want to give them a way to move up in the company, but they don't want to manage people. And in most companies, the only way to move up is to increase the headcount that's underneath of you. And so when I saw this within our company, I was like, this feels dumb. We should find a way for the best sales guys to keep making more and more money. We should find ways for the best media guys to make more and more money, the best customer service reps making more and more money, especially in the roles that have high leverage. So basically, the best content creator has more leverage than the best sales guy. The best sales guy is closer to the reward, though, to be fair. And so the likelihood that what they do generates revenue is much closer, whereas marketing or content could be significantly further away. So there's a discount that's applied there, right? But big picture is there a track for both types of people? Because there are the people who are experts at something, you just want to let them cook. And that means that it basically becomes entirely subjective as to who gets promoted. So then the next incentive that comes up that's perverse is you want to show how much you're working rather than do work, which are different. And so this is where people are like, if I said, what did you do yesterday? And I was like, you need to give me 1,000 bullets. You could probably come up with 1,000 bullets. You're like, I tied my shoes, and then I stood up straight, and then I put my right pant leg on, and I put my left pant leg on. And so people make it seem like they're just doing all of this work, but they don't tie that work to the output of the division. And when that happens is when you have misaligned incentives. So every one of these incentives is perverse in that it doesn't fuel the business, but it does fuel costs. With this and with the aligned incentives, the team post-change has more than doubled output. More than. And so I think the lesson here, and I think we'll probably get to triple or quadruple, like for real. Maybe I'll do an update later, but this has been a recent takeover for me. The thing is that people typically have significantly more output potential if you can tap into what we call discretionary effort, which is what is that effort above and beyond the minimum required to keep their job. So everything above you not getting fired is discretionary effort. So I've talked about incentives a couple times through here. And so my goal is to try and have everything be pay for performance to the highest degree possible. Now, here's where your operations and your finance team will push back. They'll say, this is complicated. Why can't we just do it the way everybody else does it? Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's worth it. So there's a price, but there's also a return. And so all they are talking about is the price of this thing, not what we're going to get from it. If I could then go back to that finance person and say, hey, and to be fair, this isn't me saying anything about my finance. I'm saying you might have to deal with this. Hey, if we were able to quadruple our output by creating a more complex incentive structure that might require someone full-time just to manage, is the cost of that one person full-time managing it worth the increased output of 4x across the entire company? And so because of that, I think it was able to maintain morale relatively well during a time when my industry was getting destroyed. And there's a number of ways you can do pay for performance, and you don't need to have as much performance as you might think in order to incentivize action. And so if you're like, I don't have budget for that, that's okay. Just make a couple tiers of performance, and then you can have flat bonuses by hitting some tiers. Like literally, it doesn't have. You don't have to think in percentages. It can just be flat amounts based on tiers, and I think it's a very good structure. And a good way to test this out is once you figure out your compensation thing that you want to do, back test it. So just look at what it would have been the month before, and then see what it is, and if that makes sense, then it's like, cool. Well, I'm going to assume the performance is going to go up if I pay for that added performance.